The talk I want to give, I titled, Don't Give Away Your Eyes. Don't Give Away Your Eyes. And I may have referred to this other times, but let's see where we go with this. A while back, I think it's been a month or so, a month and a half maybe, uh, in the Eon Zen newsletter, I wrote about a koan from the Book of Equanimity. Um, and the Book of Equanimity is one of the collections of koans that some of us work with, not everybody does, but some of us work with as part of our Zen practice. And so tonight I want to explore that koan, or as it's called, a public case, a little bit more. The Book of Equanimity in Japanese is Shoyoroku, sometimes called the Book of Serenity, and it's a collection of 100 koan stories from the 12th century, um, collected by Zen Master Kentong Hongju, who I think some of you are reading Hongju. And he added a verse to each of these old stories. I think the stories themselves are actually much older than this, but he brought this collection together, I think in something like 1224. And later on, a few years later, another Zen master, Wansong Shinshio, added an introduction to each of the stories and his own commentaries. So this is the book that we have now. Um, and Wansong was living at Serenity Monastery at the time, hence the title for this collection of koans. There's one that it recently particularly impressed me, and I've spent a lot of time with it, and I want to just share a bit, and I hope you find this interesting. Case 16 of the Book of Equanimity got my attention, and the title of it is Mayoku Thumps His Staff. And it's short. The main case is fairly short. The main case is attention. Mayoku arrived at Shokei's place holding his staff, and he walked 3 times around the meditation seat of Shokei and thumped his staff on the floor once. Shokei spoke right up and he said, Right, right. After that, Mayoku went to Nansen's place. Master Nansen is uh, a teacher from Tang Dynasty, China, that we hear a lot about. Um, famous Zen master. Went to Nansen's place and did the same thing. He circled Nansen 3 times and he thumped his staff on the floor once. Nansen said, Wrong, wrong. Miyoku said, Well, Shokei said right. Why do you say wrong? And Nansen answered him, Well, for Shokei, it is right. For you, it is wrong. What comes from the power of wind in the end becomes broken and crumbled. A bit cryptic. And as I said in the newsletter, in just the notes that I put in the newsletter opening, this may appear to be 2 Zen masters having some fun at Miyoku's expense. The poor guy thought he had it all figured out. What's going on? He asked Nansen. What's up with you guys? And quite a lot, it turns out. Seems to me. This is just my experience of this. So, if you work with this one, or if you have already worked with this one, you may have a different experience, but I'll share mine. I really see two different things to take away from this story. And the first one has to do with don't give away your eyes. Mayoko was troubled, or at least puzzled, by these two esteemed fellows giving him opposite reactions to his admittedly or seemingly proud performance. Indeed, they may actually also have been popping his balloon a little bit. After all, it is a little bit highfalutin to circumambulate your teacher's seat and make a grand show with your staff. I can't imagine doing that to Goto Sensei. But I think their message was more subtle than that. They didn't have text messaging in those days, so Shoke could not have sent Nansen a note saying, Nansen, Mayoko was just here and he did this weird thing with his staff. And I told him, right, right. Why don't you tell him wrong, wrong? Pretty certain that didn't happen. And it wasn't necessary. For them, these two masters, Shoke and Nansen, Shoke was neither right nor wrong, and Shoke was both right and wrong at the same time. Didn't matter one way or another to these two guys. What did matter deeply was their vow to help Mayoko wake up. Mayoko was doing what I've been calling giving away his eyes. And his teachers were showing him that. Mayoko was looking to all the wrong people for validation, authenticity, and his own wholeness. The fellows who put together this book of koans were somewhat contemporary with Dogen in Japan. And in fact, Dogen may have yet said, to study the way is to study the self. But this was Nansen and Shoke's teaching. I'm putting words into their mouth, but what I imagine they might have said is, don't look to us for your strength and confidence. Firstly, we don't have it. Sorry. Secondly, what exactly is it that you think that you lack? That you're looking to the two of us to give you? And then finally, if you ask us for it, we just might poke you. I think this is powerful teaching for us in our lives today. I'll make it personal. It's powerful teaching for me. I can say that I've given away my eyes all throughout my life. I still do it. It's happening literally right now. Just recently, with my work, I have something I'm responsible for that I feel some degree of criticism or judgment coming my way about it. Most likely entirely fantasized. There's no evidence of this whatsoever. It's just me looking for validation when I'm uncertain. And if it's not jumping off the page at me, then I doubt myself. So right now I feel it like a tightness in my stomach or butterflies, that butterfly sensation. But that's all my own making. Nobody else is doing that. Even if objectively someone does have a judgment about me or what I'm doing, the disturbance to my serenity is all my responsibility. Nobody's doing that to me. We don't often see it that way. She made me feel guilty. That's the way we see it more often. My Irish mom used to get so exasperated with Peter and I that all she could come up with it was, "What is the matter with you?" 60 years later, I'm still trying to answer that question. And it works the other way too, though the other way may feel like a more pleasant experience. Boy, Geoff, that was a great talk you gave. Ooh, thank you. More. I'm off to the races. But who do I give my eyes to? I have a friend who was a long time ago was Lenny Bruce's governess for his kids in San Francisco. Marilyn is quite funny, and she used to say, "A little applause and I'll tap dance forever." This is what she's talking about. Part of this is natural within human cultures, and I'm definitely aware of this. There really are power dynamics. There are hierarchies. They're not imagined. Some hold access to money, jobs, material things, societal esteem, and we want all those things. It's natural. I think we can choose to feed those power hierarchies or not, but we do need food and shelter. So it's tricky. I may be wrong, but it seems to me this begins with us when we're kids, wanting love and approval from our parents. Then that expands early to our teachers and our sports coaches and cops and friends and fans and whoever will notice and praise us. And of course, I don't suggest at all that we become oblivious to how we impact other people, those we're in relationships with. I don't need to name this example, but taken to an extreme, that can become narcissism. Caring about others is core to a compassionate life. I aspire to be woke. So that's one part of this story, one aspect that I take away from this koan. The other part that I want to appreciate uh, is best expressed, and I didn't read this, but it's best expressed by the first line in the appreciatory verse that goes with this koan, and it goes like this: "Right and wrong, watch out for that trap." This conjures the opening lines that we all know so well of the Shin Ming or Trust in Heart Mind that goes, "The great way is not difficult for those who do not pick and choose. When preferences are cast aside, the way stands clear and undisguised. But even slight distinctions made set earth and heaven far apart. If you would clearly see the truth, discard opinions pro and con. To founder in dislike and like is nothing but the mind's disease, and not to see the way's deep truth disturbs the heart's essential peace. The way is perfect, like vast space, where there's no lack and no excess. Our choice to choose and to reject prevents our seeing this simple truth. Right and wrong, watch out for that trap. So these two great Zen masters are urging our protagonist, Meioku, to let go of his fixed and cherished opinions, to let go of the notion that banging his staff one time for one fellow is right, but that when he bangs it for the other fellow, it can't be wrong. Mayoko is clinging to that binary view of the world. And that clinging is our disease, and it keeps us from seeing clearly. How seductive it is. And boy, I'm seduced by this. To think that there are absolute truths that apply at all times and in all circumstances. Those of you who read or studied Nancy Baker's excellent work on the precepts called Opening to Oneness, you'll recall that she took us through each precept looked at through three different perspectives. One very fundamental in black and white, one relative to conditions, and one absolute. And she arrived at, in the case of stealing, nothing's stolen, no one's stolen from, and there's no thief. Those of us with kids likely know this well. The same answer or tactic with one kid may not work for the others. And over time, one approach may change when the kid is 5 or 15 or 40. So what is this fixed truth? These two fellows were trying to help Mayoku wake up and let go of that idea. And maybe just happily bang his staff. So as we enter Ongo and embrace our theme of karma and crisis, this teaching about right and wrong really comes into sharp focus for me. It's really a daily challenge. It's kind of in my face all the time. Given this seemingly endless fire hose flow of heartbreaking news and corruption and conflict, and it's hard to not have a fixed position about things. Too much of what's happening sure as hell looks to me like it's right and wrong. And spotting the bad guys seems real easy. So how do I face this? How do I act to relieve suffering and not succumb to becoming angry at perpetrators? How do I avoid fueling more anger and suffering? As the koan says, how do I avoid that trap? When it comes to children starving in Gaza, how can there not be a right and wrong? So this is how we practice. Zen practice is not philosophy, and it's not belief system. It's appreciating our lives, and sometimes, like right now, our lives are a bit messy. So we ask ourselves these impossible questions, and we hold closely that there aren't simple answers. Maybe there aren't any answers at all. Nonsense said in the koan, what comes from the power of the wind in the end becomes broken and crumbled. It's impermanent. So perhaps I bang my staff on the ground, and from this position of stillness and witnessing, I just do my best. I just do the next thing. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it.